Good afternoon to you. My name is Jeff Knott. I'm the public sector lead at Alfresco for our activities into UK and Ireland. And I'd like to welcome you to this webinar, Digital by Default, New Ways of Working, which is one of a series in a programme of events that Alfresco and our platinum partner Zazy are running over the coming months. There will be further webinars and a seminar, a meeting in London at the start of December. What I'd like to do is to start by sharing with you the most current Forrester Wave, which was published just a matter of weeks ago. What you can see on the screen is the graphic indicating Alfresco's position in the top right-hand sector under leaders with a good, strong position. But specifically, I wanted to draw out the 3 bullet points on the right, because it's these facets that have drawn a number of public sector organisations to decide on using Alfresco as a key component in transforming the way in which they're operating. Specifically, the use of Alfresco in a hybrid environment, making use of instances of Alfresco both behind the customer firewall and outside the firewall to enable very effective collaboration with external parties. Secondly, I think the fact that from a reputation point of view, as you can see in the second bullet point, Alfresco has proven its ability to replace those traditional and monolithic and long overgrown ECM products. And then finally, the way in which Alfresco's investment into business process management is enabling much greater efficiencies for our customers. Let's look at the drivers for why people are moving to digital. A lot of this information comes from IDC, the market analyst. As you can read on the screen, a lot of people are now working out of the office. They're working across what's referred to as an extended enterprise, so not only with their own colleagues, but with people in other government agencies, partner organisations, suppliers, and then citizens. And there's again a significant explosion in the quantity of information that people are managing. So between the period 2010 to 2020, IDC estimate that there's going to be 50 times the volume of information that there is today. A lot of the driver around the way in which people want to collaborate now is driven by their expectations through having mobile devices, the way in which they work with social software outside of work. And there's a demand where people want to get access to the right information, not only in a structured way, but also in an ad hoc way. And the difficulty is that existing technologies just don't address these needs. I think we're all aware of the difficulties of email. It's inefficient, we lose control of versions. And the newer consumer file sharing services don't actually solve the problem. These tend to be put in place by the individual. It means that there's huge numbers of uncontrolled silos of content, and that puts your information as an organisation at risk. And the legacy ECM systems frankly just won't cut it, because they're designed for a time when there was no mobile, there was no cloud, and there wasn't ability to readily work outside the firewall. What Alfresco does is to address these challenges. We provide the ability for people to share not only the content, but the business processes around getting that content approved, reviewed, and moved on in an efficient way. And we do this both securely and seamlessly, so that you can work with your colleagues both outside the organisation and other agencies. And for us, Alfresco, we feel that we do this both in a simple, a smart, and a secure way. So let me tell you a little bit more about that. Simple, because we feel that what we're doing is making it very simple for the users to collaborate. We can do that on any device, and we can give them that ability to work anywhere. We're also applying the things that they like from their experience in social media. So the ability to work in more folksonomy based ways rather than too much of a structured way, which is very important when we're working with extended teams. But underlying all of that is the ability to find the right information through powerful search tools and connect to the right people. The smart way in which Alfresco works is that out of the box we are already collaborating with Office productivity tools such as Office 365, Google Docs. And our ability to use open standards extends to the way in which line of business applications can be readily developed to again access that information that Alfresco is managing inside our own repository. And the final part of how open standards are helping is the way in which the processes around this all-important content can be extended to external partners. And then the final piece of this is the secure element. Clearly what we want to do is make sure that any of this information is always under control, that we have a permissions-based access. And we'll talk later about Alfresco's hybrid ways of working. And the secure nature of how Alfresco works extends both to this hybrid environment. It means that all content that we're managing is permissions-based with full auditability. And for those of our customers that are working with mobile devices, we integrate with MDM tools. So let's just take a moment to talk about what this digital information is. A lot of us have moved on from the time when it was simply Word documents, spreadsheets, presentations, and perhaps PDFs. You can see a list on the left-hand side of the screen here, and I'm trying to indicate here that what we're doing with Alfresco is taking away any concern about what the actual information is that you want to manage. We're not putting an incumbence on you to think about what that format is. And this is significant because there's no restriction on the size of an individual file that Alfresco can manage. So if you're working with a case that includes Word documents, scanned images, photos, and video, you don't have to concern yourself that the video might be particularly large and therefore outside the control of the enterprise content management system. This is a facet that is quite special to Alfresco because a lot of legacy systems do have that restriction on file size. So once we define what the content is, what we're able to do with Alfresco is to store it in a single repository, and that I'm indicating by this rectangle at the bottom of the screen you're seeing now. It's highly secure and we provide records management capability if you want it. But the significance, which I'm representing by the various boxes around the screen, is that your users can get access to that information, not only through Alfresco's own UI, but through those productivity apps, things like Microsoft Office. If they're still insisting to work in email, they can get access to it through email and through line of business applications. And as I said earlier, they can access it through mobile devices, through the desktop, and when they're working both inside and outside the firewall. So Alfresco is well known for being the open source ECM vendor, but it's the combination of open source and open standards that gives the greatest value to our customers. Open source, for those of you that are technical, provides complete visibility of how our technology works, and that in turn makes it very straightforward to extend our product to meet specific needs that your organisation has. From a business point of view, the open standards mean that any single item of content you have, we can assure the integrity of that so that you have a single point of truth, and you can share that information effectively, not only the file, but the associated metadata and the process information surrounding it. So just to recap, with Alfresco's simple, smart and secure technology, which is based on open standards and open source, there's no dead ends, no surprises, and no lock-in for our customers. So by way of a segue into the next presenter, let me just represent how Alfresco is working using hybrid infrastructure. The picture you're seeing in front of you shows Alfresco repository sitting behind your firewall. Highly secure, permissions-based access with the auditability controls that I mentioned earlier. We have very strong synchronization capabilities that mean that we can synchronize to external instances of Alfresco that sit outside the firewall. The synchronization works through a process of business rules and permissions so that only the right information can be synchronized to these collaboration spaces that sit outside the firewall. But because of this rules-based process that's in hand, it means that external partner organisations, other government agencies that you want to work with, can be invited in to collaborate with you, with the complete assurance that the rules and regulations that IT, your CIO, your SIRO are putting in place are all adhered to. So with that, let's go into a bit more detail, and I'm going to hand over to Carlos.
Thanks, Jeff. I'm Carlos Miguins, Head of Delivery at Zyzy. I'm going to talk about the business solution today for external collaboration. But a solution should always be an answer to a problem. So before we talk about the solution, let's find out what the collaboration problem really is. Our government organisation, the Department for Business, Innovation and Skills, or who we like to call BIS, have a number of key objectives. These include working with higher education establishments, supporting UK industry and businesses to increase productivity and growth. These objectives all require collaboration. So how does this play out in practice? Well, take Matt Black at BIS. He needs to collaborate with Jack from Bradford University and Alison from the Met Office. They have a shared goal, which is to create a strategy paper on space weather. But they're in their own silos. So how do they share information? Well, they do it the old way. Suppose that Matt wants to share some documents with the other members of the team. He will create an email to them, hopefully remembering to include them all and attach the relevant documents. He then sends the email. When it arrives in Alison's inbox, she opens it up and saves the attachments locally. So too does Jack. Imagine if some of the team are internal to BIS. Every internal member now also has those attachments in their inbox, duplicating emails, files and attachments. Of course, this is about collaboration, so both Alison and Jack will want to make changes to the documents. But they make changes to their local copies of the documents in isolation from the others. Once Alison has finished making her changes, she sends an email back to Matt and attaches the changed documents to the email. Matt saves the documents on his local drive, and once Jack has finished his document, he sends his edits back, also through email. But he has another document which is very important for the project that everybody needs to read, so he attaches this to the email as well. He's a bit forgetful though, so he doesn't copy Alison on it. When the emails arrive in Matt's inbox, he saves the attachments on his local drive. He looks at the changes and comments Jack and Alison have made in their emails and starts to combine them into a new document. As you can see, this was a very simple exchange involving only 3 people. But where did we end up? And who's got what? Alison and Jack all have different versions of the Word document. Only Matt has the most up-to-date copy, so you have to hope that he remembers to share it with the rest of the team before he goes on his holiday. Matt and Jack have the important PowerPoint, something which Alison is oblivious of. Alison also missed the comments Jack made in his email. The comments that Jack made in his email were not shared with Alison at all. But the project continues, and so does the cycle of email attachments, each time getting more and more out of sync. As other people join the project, they have a difficult time working out what's been going on and who will be left without crucial information in documents they don't have or buried deep within an email trail they've never seen. There are other problems too. Email is not secure, and using it sends a copy of the document to every participant. If a participant makes changes, you can't see them until they return the document. You can't tell if people have read the documents or started work on them. Once the changes come back, they have to be collated together into a new version of the document, as you've seen. This is not only labour intensive, but leaves you with multiple versions of the truth. You do, however, maintain some user control. You can simply exclude users from emails if you no longer want them to participate. But of course, they do get to keep all of the documents that you sent them originally. But perhaps, worst of all, this contributes to the email overload we all suffer. Because of this, a number of solutions have grown up in what's called the EFSS space. The Enterprise File, Sync and Share. It's a bit of a mouthful, but includes such products as Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, and so on. These products address some of the issues allowing documents to be shared, but they still don't provide true collaboration and have security holes that are hard to control. Let's look at the right way to do collaboration, using the solution put in place for Biz. This system has two Alfresco collaboration instances, one internal and one external. Internal people, like Matt, can work exclusively in the internal instance for all of their collaboration and document requirements, as you see here. Meanwhile, external users like Alison and Jack can be invited to the external collaboration site. Now, Matt can simply share the documents he's been working on without copying them out of the primary location. He simply synchronizes the folder containing the documents with the external system. A synchronization process moves a copy of the documents and any relevant folders to the external collaboration instance, where both Alison and Jack can see them. When Alison changes the Word document, Jack will be able to see the new version straight away, and the system detects that a change has been made, and will synchronize the new version back to the internal instance. When Jack updates the document, a new version of the document is created, and this too is synchronized back. This means that Matt no longer has to consolidate the documents, as it's already done, and he has a new document version with all the versions being tracked and audited. The collaborators can also comment on a document, rather than through email trails, and those comments are then visible to all, even people who join the project at a later stage. Now, when Jack adds the important PowerPoint presentation, he doesn't have to remember to include Alison, he simply adds it to the collaboration instance. Alison will see it, and the system will synchronize the document back into the internal instance as well. On a daily basis, each of the team members gets a summary of the activity that has happened on the sites they've been collaborating on. This is when Alison would find out that Jack had loaded up the PowerPoint presentation. The system gives you much more control over the governance of users. It allows for collaboration sites to be created for specific projects or efforts with different members. These sites can be public, moderated or private, and users can be invited with different roles to the different sites. For example, you may want to share information with somebody without allowing them to make changes to anything, and this is where they would be a consumer in the site. User management is more sophisticated than with other systems. When a user is invited, their username is created together with a password that they have to change when they first log in. Two-factor authentication can be used if required, and users are auto-disabled should they not use the system for a designated period. Users can also manage their own passwords, and the system offers them password resets. The most compelling feature for users, of course, is not security, nor the audit trail, not even the single version of the truth, but rather the environment which provides a rich collaboration experience with each user having their own dashboard, and a dashboard for the site, something that you'll see more of shortly in Sergio's demonstration. In summary, we have developed a solution that is secure and needs only a single copy of the information for everybody, eliminating multiple versions of the truth. Through activity streams, you can see when somebody has viewed documents, commented, added new documents, and view those changes straight away. The changes people make to documents are versioned, but they appear only in a single document, avoiding tedious document collation. This is all wrapped up in a well-controlled environment and provides the new way of sharing. What I'd like to do now is introduce Sergio Rojas, who will show you a demonstration of the Biz external collaboration system. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sergio Rojas, and I am a technical architect specialized in ECM and Alfresco. I've got more than 8 years of experience with Alfresco, as I said, and with government projects. After this brief introduction about myself, I'm just going to proceed to show you a demo showing some use cases around the collaboration business scenario based on BIST, Business Innovation and Skills, that my colleague Carlos Miguens has introduced before as part of his presentation. So as Carlos mentioned, the business scenario is as follows. We have got 3 users. One of them is called Matt Black, and he's part of BIS staff. Second user is going to be involved in the demo is Alison Gross, which is an employee for the Met Office. And the third one is going to be Jack Davey, which is part of a Bradford University. So Matt needs to collaborate with Alison and Jack, and the way he's going to do that is using the external collaboration system that SAICI has implemented to be used by BIS initially and potentially other government organizations. This external collaboration system is made up of 2 Alfresco instances. The first Alfresco instance is what we call Alfresco internal instance, and resides into a government protected network connected to PSN, and it means that only BIS users can access the applications deployed within that specific private network. And I'm just going to show you how it looks, the internal instance. You can see the login screen already, and I'm going to log in as Matt Black, which, as we said before, is part of the BIS staff. There you go. You've got here the homepage of Matt. Just gonna log out so we can start afterwards from the scratch. I'm gonna show you now the second part of a system, which is what we call external collaboration instance. This instance resides in an internet-face area, and it means that external government agencies and its stakeholders can access to that in order to collaborate with BIS, in this scenario BIS or any other government organization users. So I'm just going to show you how the external collaboration looks like. As you can see, SAICI has customized it in order to look different to the internal, so they can be different. So I'm just going to quickly log in as Alison Cross, which we remember she was part of a Met Office and one of the actors that needs to collaborate with BIS. There you go. You can see here Alison Gross dashboard. I'm just gonna log out as well, so we can, same as before, we can start from the scratch afterwards. So this is basically those 2 Alfresco instances, and a connection between them that SAICI has developed is what form the external collaboration system. Now I'm going to proceed to show you the actual collaboration scenario, and I'm going to start with the internal user, which is Matt Black, logging within the internal system. Matt has created a site called a strategy paper site, where he stores all the documentation. He has created a folder and a document that he wants to share with external users so they can collaborate with it. The only thing that Matt has to do to collaborate is click on the sync to remote repository action that you can see here. Alfresco is already configured to connect with the external Alfresco instance that I have showed you before. So then, clicks on the action. And the first thing he's asked for is about the credentials. So he needs to have a user created on the external collaboration instance in order to synchronize elements. This is necessary only the first time, as Alfresco stores the credentials, so the following times he wants to synchronize elements, he doesn't need to introduce login and password anymore. There you go, he successfully logged in. Now the second thing he's asked for is to select the site and folder where he wants to synchronize the elements. For this particular scenario, he's gonna synchronize the folder and the document afterwards in the site space weather, which is in the external collaboration instance, and in the document library. Synchronization was successful, so he now does the same with the document space weather preparedness strategy .x. You go. He synchronized that in the same place as he did with the folder, space weather site document library. The synchronization was successful again. Now for every element synchronized, he can click on the little cloud to see the sync info, as you can see. Plus he will have several options related with the synchronization, like unsync from remote repository if he doesn't want the element to be synchronized anymore. He's got an option as well to view in the Alfresco external collaboration instance, and he can request a sync just in case he wants to retrieve the changes. There is as well an automatic process to do that. We will see that afterwards. Right. Once Matt has created those documents and synchronized them, we are going to see how Alison can collaborate with them. Alison logs in the external collaboration instance. She goes to the site space weather. That is the site where Matt has synchronized the document and the folder. She goes to the document library, and she can see here both the document space weather preparedness strategy .docx plus the folder that has been synchronized, the impact of solar phenomenon. As she wants to collaborate with the document space weather preparedness strategy, she downloads it. And she edits it. This obviously can be integrated with a Google Docs edition or with the Alfresco Office module, so that will improve the user experience. But for this demo, we are going to edit in this way. She edits the document. Save the changes. And then she's gonna upload a new version. She has uploaded the new version. We're just gonna check that the changes go in. There go. You can see here that the changes go in. Now there are two ways to synchronize the changes that Alison just made. One of them will be wait until Alfresco synchronizes them automatically. And there is a scheduled job executing every minute in the Alfresco internal instance, pulling changes that done over documents or folders that has been previously synchronized within the external instance. So the other way is to click in request sync. That will pull the changes. So in it's passed more than 1 minute, that should be alright, and we should see now the changes. There you go. As you can see, Matt can see the changes that Alison made in the external collaboration instance, since the changes were synchronized automatically by Alfresco from the external instance to the internal one. Right. But then we've got a third actor that wants to collaborate as well. And this one is Jack Davey, that we remember that he was part of a Bradford University. He can go as well to the external collaboration instance. You can go to the space where the site, which we remember is the site where we are doing all the synchronizations. Go to the document library. And now what Jack wants to do is add a couple of images. So he goes to the folder that was previously synchronized from the internal instance by Matt, and he directly drags and drops several images. Okay. Since the images were uploaded into a folder that is already synchronized, the two images will be synchronized back into the internal collaboration instance. So Matt goes and logs in the internal collaboration instance again. He proceeds to go to his site, the strategy paper site. Goes into the folder impacts of solar phenomena. Since we didn't click on the request sync, but more than 1 minute has passed, the files should be here. Yeah. As you can see, the two files have been synchronized back from the external collaboration instance into the internal one. So the collaboration scenario has been completed. As mentioned before, there's a couple of things that can be improved apart from this demo. So for example, the edition of the documents, as I said before, it could be integrated with Google Docs Edition or the Alfresco Office module. As well, we could enable alerts. So every time some of the users collaborates with any of the documents or folder, the other users could get an email, a notification. And this is all. Thank you very much for attending this demo.